Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. 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 Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Trayvon, and this is the Mind Up Podcast, and I walk you guys through a lot of my strange thoughts, and that's what we'll go with today. I'm actually going to take my glasses off so that you guys can see my face, because the glare in the sun from my windshield is in my eyes. It is 8:40 in the morning, guys, and I just got out of Chem Lab, and that's not important to you guys, but I just had this thought as I was driving to get my breakfast. And what are we eating for breakfast today, guys? We're eating chicken biscuits for breakfast from Burger King. I had this thought of one of my favorite movies. I was thinking about a video I made last week about Will Come to California with Me, a quote from Good Will Hunting, one of my favorite movies. And I had another thought about that movie, and it's when Robin Williams or Sean ask Will, "Are you afraid of anything?" Or, "Will, what's your deepest fear?" Or something like that, right? I know in Coach Carter, not one of my favorite movies, but a movie I like, it's like, he asked the kid, he's like, "What's your deepest fear? What are you afraid of the most?" And his long answer summed up was inadequacy, not being adequate enough, not being enough. And so I was like, that's relatable, because I understand that the fear of not being successful, not being enough, and that's almost what this podcast is sort of kind of tailored to, is all my thoughts on being successful, or my future goals, or my ambitions, and all of that, my thoughts about life and how to be the best person you can, this and that and the other. But all that summed up into a fear is probably the fear of inadequacy, right? And so why is that important? I think it's mainly important because usually people are driven by their fears. Positive or negative, most people are driven by their fears. And you can use this, I'll just spit. You can use this in a positive way, but it could also be positive and have some negative consequences, such as, let's use me, for example. I've always had this fear of, like, what if I don't become successful? What if I'm poor for the rest of my life? What if I'm broke? What if I don't make it, right? I have this vision in my head of, like, I want to be a business owner. I want to be a doctor. I want a family. I want to have a life where it's calm and peaceful, and people respect me, and I'm of service to somebody and of value to someone, and I have a small but close friend group. And it's like, what if you don't get all those things, right? And so the fear that I guess plagues me, or might plague others, is that you have to keep excelling because you'll never get to where you're going if you stop. And so it's like never being complacent and always working towards a new goal is, like, essentially the downside to that. But it's also the upside, because it's like your superpower. Your fear drives you, but it's also like you can't control some of the things you do, because without that fear, you wouldn't even do that. If I didn't have a fear of not being successful, I probably would have graduated already. I probably would have settled with a psych degree or a business degree. And not that those are bad degrees. Not that you can't make good money in either of those. It's just that for the lifestyle I want to obtain one day, those degrees by themselves won't get you there unless you have a significant amount of money to start with and can convert that money and buy a business or something. So fear is good. Fear is great. But fear leads most people, right? But what happens if you don't have that fear? Like, if you don't have a fear of anything, like most people say, the famous quote, "I'm not scared of no man." That's cute. But most people, it's not people they're scared of. It's themselves. They're scared of their own potential or the lack thereof. They're scared that they can't compete with others because others are better than them. They're scared that they don't have the resources to do better. So they settle because in some sense, it's easier to settle and be like everyone else around you than to try to be better and not make it. In some sense. You know, you might find much success in a field that's not as competitive. Let's assume that maybe you struggle in school and you're relatively average for competence, but you have these high standards for yourself. Oh, I'm going to go be a scientist, or I'm going to go be a physicist, or I'm going to be a chemist. Well, realistically, with your capabilities, that's probably not realistic. Your expectations, the expectations that the world puts on you to go be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a senator, a politician, anything, those are unrealistic expectations for the average person. Resources aren't there. Finances aren't there. Competence isn't there. Time and energy isn't there. The support system isn't there for most people to do that. So, in some regard, maybe you're the worst achieving in the field that you want to go into, the lowest achieving or the least competent, maybe the lower level, right? It's like, oh, don't go to that doctor. He's a bad doctor. He's a doctor, but he's not a good one. Or maybe you settle for a career less desirable than that or more average and say, hey, I can be really high achieving in a less desirable career field. It's like a give and take, you know? I talked about this in my last video, but the beauty in Good Will Hunting is unmatched. I feel like the movie should have been longer. I also feel like they should have came out with a part 2. But the film really, you have to listen to the dialogue. And you have to watch this movie many times to understand all the intricacies and all the importance of the little interactions and the conversations, you know, even with his friends, how they look up to him or how they react when he does stuff or their life stories, you know, their perception on him or their perception on themselves, their perception on the world around them, right? You work at this prestigious school. We can't do that. We have regular jobs. I can't keep a job, X, Y, and Z in the movie, you know? Oh, well, here's a raggedy car to get you from point A to point B. It shows you their philosophies, their values, their ideas of the world around them. It also goes into detail indirectly, but directly for some characters, about his mentors, the people trying to look out for him, the girl he's interested in how he handles different life situations and how others around him handle that. It's really this dynamic web of social interactions with a genius, but also a teenager who's been abandoned. And so it uses these two very different ideas of someone can also be very intelligent, but come from a bad background. And those usually aren't linked together. Those are usually linked separate. And I would assume that statistics would say that the worse your background is, on average, not the exceptions. You know, there's always somebody out there who's a genius, but is from a very poor background and still makes it out, right? But on average, that person isn't probably going to be high achieving. But he's a genius. He's just in a bad area. Good Will Hunting is great, guys. So what's your biggest fear? Does your fear motivate you to do better? Does your fear control you? And how can you use your fear essentially to be of service to others around you and of yourself? Don't let your fear get in the way, I guess, of your own potential, right? You have to use it to motivate you and to do better, but it also can be your biggest burden. So what are you afraid of? You know, I was watching a Jordan Peterson video the other day, and he said that if you love something, you have to let it go. This is relationships, this is fears, this is anything. And usually the thing that stretches you out, and that's why I put this in this video about fear, because the thing that stresses you out the most is the thing that can also change your life. It's like if you really like somebody, but they stress you out and they're not good for you, let them go and watch all your stress disappear. Watch how your life changes because you let go of the thing that you thought was so important. Usually your stress comes from something that you think you overvalue, right? You overvalue relationship, you overvalue your job, you overvalue money, you overvalue friends or this and that and the other. You overvalue school. The thing that you stress about the most, let it go and see how that changes your life. I would assume, like Jordan Peterson was saying, that most of the problems we have are because of our own ignorance or our own unwillingness to let go of things that we think are valuable or important to us. And that allows the space for new things to come in, new blessings to come into our life, and this, that, the other. So if you have that fear of letting go, if you have that fear of inadequacy, if you have that fear of holding on, try letting go. Create new opportunities for new blessings. As always, guys, I'm Trayvon, and I enjoyed making this video. If you have not, guys, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Watch this video. Watch this video. Tap on my little pretty face up here to subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next video. Keep killing it.